Okay, let's establish this muscle testing thing. Uh, the what it offers is the potential to discern sort of absolute truth from falsehood, which has like unlimited potential. Um, Now, the practice of it, as I understand, was like originally discovered by the practice of perhaps chiropractors diagnosing uh, allergies or food sensitivities, and they found that muscles would go weak corresponding to different compounds in the body, and like if you eliminated those compounds, the muscles would be strong, and if the compounds were present in the body, the muscles would be weak. So that's like, and maybe in the 60s, like where this whole research started. Is that accurate?
Yeah, George Goodhart, I believe was his name, a chiropractor who noticed that when he was talking about certain things and manipulating the body of his clients, when he would talk about things that were correct to the patient or client, the muscle would stay strong. But when he talked about something that was incorrect to the client or something that they reacted to in a negative way, then the muscle would weaken. And yeah, imagine being a fly on the wall in that room.
Yeah. So, and what's interesting to me is, as a scientist, right? Um, you discover something like this, and you're like, oh, cool. Now what can I do with this tool? Where can I go from here? How can I validate this? And so maybe I'll just ask you, like, how have you validated this for yourself as a reliable tool?
Well, I think it's interesting because when I first learned about muscle testing, I thought I was astounded, but I wasn't able to muscle test myself accurately
Mm,
because I was at a lower vibration. I was in shame, which is if anybody looked at, and you can Google the map of consciousness to see the scale. It's really interesting to look at that scale. Shame is the lowest vibration at 20 megahertz.
right before death, basically.
Yeah, yeah, not good. And there are dried herbs that I think that are higher than 20 megahertz, right? Not good, not a good place to be. And so, we were talking before we hit record about cancer diagnosis, and they have since discovered that cancer starts at 42 megahertz and below. So Dr. Hawkins in his work said that to accurately muscle test yourself, you need to be at courage or above, so 200 megahertz or above. And a lot of us are, most of the time, we have a baseline energetic resonance. And that baseline energetic resonance, if we are not at 200 or above, we're not able to accurately muscle test ourselves. So that was the first hurdle with me in my work of, I learned about muscle testing and hey, that this is cool, but I wasn't accurately able to muscle test myself. But the cool thing is I could, with really a small amount of time, 20, 25 seconds, sitting in the resonance, the emotion of gratitude will lift my energetic vibration, my emotion up over 200 megahertz. So that's how I kind of combat that. And that's usually
Mm.
where I start with a lot of my clients as well.
Okay, that's really good to know, is that like, okay, it's a useful tool in a specific state. Otherwise, you're going to get inaccuracies. And
Yeah.
when I first learned this, um, I was testing things just like a bunch of known yes or no's, like, or a bunch of things that I know to be true or false, and I would just go through a dozen of these things to confirm the accuracy, and so I would like calibrate it each time to be like, okay, I believe that I can trust this because it's given me 15 correct answers in a row. And even then I would be like, take it with a grain of salt, but like it seems like this will be accurate. um I did a little, just in the hour before our chat today, I did a little digging on the academic literature, and it's pretty there's not a lot of good papers. There's some positive reviews, like 90% accuracy, for example, in testing for a battery of food allergies. Like it's a highly predictive, and they could test it with blood work and corroborate the muscle testing and say, okay, this is, for these 21 different food allergies, it's 90.5% accurate. Another paper said the years of experience of the practitioner increases the accuracy. So 95% accurate if you have 5 years of experience, but only 60% accurate if you're a beginner practitioner. So there's something about the force, maybe you're not applying the same force each time when you're muscle testing, or there's more variability. And so how important is it to have like a standard way of doing it? Because there's lots of different ways of doing it. Can you talk about what method you use and maybe that side of things?
Yeah, I think my method has kind of evolved over time, as it should, and as things will, as we really dive in and begin to trust ourselves more and expand and evolve with the process or procedure. I really love to teach people how to do this for themselves. I think we're in a society where we just put our fate and our lives and our health in the hands of so many other people. And we need to be able to trust ourselves to know what is yes for us and what is no. And when we can sit into the energy of gratitude for a few minutes to feel in a more in a place of trusting ourselves, raise our vibration, raise our baseline, we're able to muscle test with accuracy. So the one way that I teach first is to just have my client, or even, I'll tell this, I'll teach this to anybody who'll listen. Sit down at a bus stop and I'll tell you. I think it's the coolest thing, and I think it's really important for us to know what our body is really telling us, because our body is trying to communicate with us all the time. So I teach people just to have your dominant hand. So if you write with your right hand, put your right hand on your clavicle. If you're a southpaw, then you put your left hand on your clavicle. Then you have your whole hand flat, but you lift your index finger, your Peter pointer,
Okay.
and your other hand is going to test the baseline, test the strength of that index by pushing down on it. And the index that is raised is resisting that pressure. So you're keeping your index finger as high as you can while pushing down on the other finger, or from the other hand. And you're just testing how strong that is. That's your baseline. And then you ask yourself, you can just think it, what does yes feel like? Body, show me what yes feels like. And that should be as strong as your baseline. But then when you say body, what does no look like? No should lose all strength. Because applied kinesiology muscle testing is essentially coming from the premise of your body doesn't lie. And your body never forgets as well. So your body holds on to all of these perceptions and points of view and expectations and rules and judgments that we were either taught when we were a kid, or we interpreted and brought in as a child. So our body keeps all of that stuff. So that's the first step of the first way to test with your body, to muscle test with a yes or no.
And so then you say, give me a yes, give me a no. So then you know what it feels like, what those yeses or nos. Besides needing to be in gratitude or needing to have a high enough vibration, are there any other considerations that are important to, or anything that could throw a wrench in the works?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're bioenergetic beings, we're entangled with other people's energy. So what I like to suggest to people is to just take a few minutes, even after talking to yourself about something or someone or someplace that you're grateful for. So you're raising your vibration first. And then I would love it for people to just say, I eject all outside energy. I eject all outside energy. And even saying, I eject my mom's energy from my body, I eject my dad's energy, a sibling, people that you're around most of the time, that is not outside energy as your body would describe it. Because these people that we're in contact with all the time, that's a home frequency, that's a home vibration. Our energy, our vibration is used to entangling with that other person. So when we say I eject all outside energy, it's not saying, well, your mom's energy is outside energy. It doesn't feel that way. It feels comfortable because that's a known, a comforting energy that you're entangled with. Whether you have a good relationship, a healthy relationship with these people or not. If you work with somebody who's constantly bullying you, but you're with them all the time, your body perceives that energy to be kind of a comfortable, known energy. So with this entanglement, it's important to eject all outside energy. Because if we're trying to muscle test ourselves to find out what our truth is, but we're connected to other people, we could be actually testing from the vantage point and perception, point of view, perception of other people instead of our truth.
Okay, so we're in a sense eliminating variables here. And that reminds me of that study that showed that someone in a good mood, like they tested it on parents in a good mood with their school children's friends, and it was like 3 degrees of separation. Like if you're in a good mood, then your kids' friends will be in a good mood. So it's like ripples through and obviously the same for bad mood. It ripples through the networks of our communities. Okay, cool. So you've calibrated yourself to a high level, and then you've sort of cleared the way. And now, are you ready to go? Are you ready to begin muscle testing?
Almost. I think the third step is to really get clear on what you want to test, what you want to create. So getting clear on what you want is vital for you to achieve accurate results.
So that's the question that you're testing upon. It has to be phrased in some specific way or held in the
does.
mind.
Yeah. So if when years ago, when I knew about muscle testing, but I wasn't able to accurately muscle test myself, I'd be in a relationship and I'd be like, is this the guy? Is this the one? And because I was wishful thinking, of course, I was in my head going, oh yeah, of course, this is the guy. So I would muscle test and I would get a yes. And then a week later, we'd break up.
Right. Yeah. And so then you were like, what? Does muscle testing not work or what's going on?
Right. So a couple variables there is, was I at a high enough vibration to accurately muscle test? Was I solely in my own vibration, my own energy? And was I really clear on what I wanted? Or was I just wishful thinking?
Yeah. So what you're saying is that your body, your physiology could be picking up on like the excitement maybe that you were feeling about the relationship at the time, which is maybe you're feeling really positive about the direction of it. And so
Yeah.
does that mean that the question was just what would be a better way to approach in that situation?
Well, it is dependent on the situation, but if you have a control, just like any other scientific experiment, come at this from a playfulness, but also from a scientific, like having a baseline, having a control group of your questioning. And if there is an emotional component, know that you do maybe should, I don't want to say have to, but maybe have 2 or 3 questions around the situation so that if there is an highly emotional component to the situation, then you're gauging, the most clearest answer that you can achieve with the process. So with something like this, with a relationship that maybe going south but I was being blind to that, and I was wishful thinking that, oh, this is Prince Charming or what have you. Maybe I could say, coming from the vantage point of my most desired relationship that is healthy and supportive and fulfilling, all of the keys to what would make me feel like I was in the most beneficial relationship, the healthiest relationship that I could be. If that was in my mind first, and then I muscle tested, if that person matched up and aligned with that, then there'd be a more accurate, a clear view to muscle test from.
Okay, got it. Maybe could you share another example of just recently in your life how you've used this?
Sure. Successfully.
Ideally.
So with myself and with my clients, a lot of my clients are entrepreneurs, and they're coming into the online space they're creating a business, and they have a program that they're selling. And a lot of my clients will stumble when they're beginning to trust themselves in coming online and creating an income for themselves. So recently I had a client who wanted to take a program that she had, and that she has a successful program where she's bringing people together to talk about grief and bringing a component of art with it. And it's really fulfilling for her, but she's unable to charge for that. So muscle testing with her, we brought in the component and the clarity of what really is the end result that you want. Because in her mind, she would love this business to be successful. She would love the home of her dreams. She can see her children and her grandchildren playing in the home. So bringing to mind this clear end result, and then tuning into and testing if this program, if this business is the vehicle to get her there, then that all came together. She couldn't match it up. I'm doing this for free and I love it, and I'd love to get paid for it, but I can't see myself getting paid for it. There's a disconnect there. There was a block, there was resistance. But when we kind of skipped over that block to look at the end result of, I'd love this business to fund and fuel and bring me enough income and impact so that I could have the home and the home life and the relationship with my family in this dream location, then we can kind of put the pieces together to get her from here to there.
Yeah, so there's a bridge. The vehicle she's built isn't going to drive her to the location she wants as it is currently. So you use muscle testing to, I don't know, what did you do? Did you just like get her to a place where she could charge money for it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we talked about the collar test for muscle testing. The next step is, once you get a yes or no, you know what that feels like. The next step in muscle testing that I teach people is to use a whiteboard. And this is a projection of your mind onto this imaginary whiteboard that's out in front of you. And you populate this whiteboard with a percentage. So normally, if you think of your past and you project onto the whiteboard your past, if you think of something that you ate last week, would that be on the left or the right of this whiteboard?
See, we did this before. Let's see if it's the same this time. And I can't even remember. The past is the right and the future is the left for me.
Okay. And it doesn't, everybody could be different. For me, my past is to my left. I see as if I'm reading a book, I go from the left to the right, reading, and the same with my whiteboard. So anybody that has the past on the left side of this whiteboard and the future to the right, then the past to the left would be 0%. The future to the right would be 100%, but if you're the other way, if your past is to the right, then 0% would be on the right. And if their future is to the left, then 100 would be on the left. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so what you're doing is this is like a subconscious, you're like tapping into the subconscious, and this you're creating a scale for yourself to use. Is that
Yes.
what this is for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was a bridge for me when I'm learning about muscle testing. I'm reading Dr. David Hawkins and learning about the map of consciousness, and then I hear an interview with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he said the body is the subconscious mind, and I just went, whoa! I just like light bulbs just started popping off in my head. Like it was crazy.
Mhm.
So seeing this whiteboard as a projection of your subconscious, and our subconscious loves to play games and is very visual and symbolic. So this whiteboard allows us to tune into, speak, test, gauge directly with the subconscious mind, and show the subconscious what you'd like instead. So if client was not able to feel comfortable charging for what she's doing, then we can tune into the subconscious through the use of this whiteboard and go, okay, so whiteboard, how comfortable do I feel doing this program for free? And it was, she showed 100%. Cool. So whiteboard or subconscious mind, how comfortable do I feel charging for the same or a similar program? I think it was like 30%. So we can actually show the whiteboard, show our subconscious by imagining, or you can do it in midair, grabbing that 30% and bringing it up towards 100. So we're showing the subconscious, this is here, but I want it to be here. We're showing the subconscious we would like this change in our life, in our reality.
And when you slide that scale up to 100, does it usually stay where you put it?
It does, with a little, give or take maybe 10% or so. There's some safeguards and energetic work we can do to anchor that in better. But also we talked about in the beginning, ejecting outside energy, going up in vibration to gratitude, and making sure that you're coming from a place of your own energy. That helps with that stick-to-itiveness of that percentage staying put.
Okay. And then what was in her business? What was the next thing that unfolded from there?
Well, there were a lot, because she was resistant with actually kind of doing the work, especially with me. She said, oh, this is going to take too long. I'm going to have to really sit down and do some meditation, and I'm going to have to really work on this and really, push and hustle and force this to be what I want. There's too much of a gap from that 30% to 100%.
Yeah.
I can do this without charging people. That feels comfortable at 100, but at charging for it, that's way down here at 30. So she thought that was too much of a gap. So it was a little bit of a struggle for her to see this doesn't have to be a struggle. We don't have to work hard at this. So shifting that 30% to 100 allowed her instantly the clarity of, oh, wow, this is the same. They then felt the same for free and being charged, or charging people, being paid for it. That felt the same. So there was the clarity, there was the ease, there was trusting herself to be able to do it. And that allowed her the chance to start the process of putting those pieces together, of creating and offering people that program.